Now, ladies and gentlemen, the time now is actually I have taken 50 minutes. I've taken 50 minutes. The time now is 10:50. So I would like to take this opportunity to move on to my discussion with Dr. Wong Chin Yong, who are a professor in economics with Utah and also a columnist with Nanyang Sangbao, 8TV Money Matters program host. Wow, Dr. Wong. And BFM Kaijin podcast host. So let us welcome Dr. Wong Chin Yong.
Hi, morning, Ernest. Morning, everyone.
Right. Hello, doctor. Okay, I
Hello.
am going to pin
Am I loud and
myself.
clear?
Let me just pin myself and pin yourself as well. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Thanks for
Everyone,
inviting me to come.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope that I don't bore everyone with that first 50 minutes. Yeah, it's a dry commentary of highlights. Now let's move into the real stuff now, right? So we have 1 hour and 10 minutes with Dr. Wong. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions, you can actually post them. We're not sure whether we are the best person to answer them, but Dr. Wong and myself, we will do our best. Okay, so now let us have a little bit of energy here. Yeah, let us welcome Dr. Wong by typing in the chat room 888 fat. Okay, let us do that. I hope that everyone
not
actually
clapping the hands, but they did.
Sorry.
It's not clapping the hands, but they did.
Yeah, yes. Okay, I would like to actually now pull out my questions now. Okay, let me just do this. Hold on a second. See, everyone is here.
I find your presentation very informative indeed.
Oh, thank you, doctor.
There are some
Thank you very
details
much,
that didn't pay attention before, but yeah, I like it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Wong, actually, I think close to immediately, isn't it, doctor, that you was actually being invited by 8TV one more time to do the commentary. Yeah, on that night itself, on Friday night itself. Yeah, so which is a Chinese version. I listened to it as well. Okay, doctor, I would like to just ask you for maybe a general comment first. Yeah, what do you think of this particular revised budget 2023 announced last Friday?
First of all, I believe that you will find this budget not really that different from the past budgets, because it always involves different tax measures, different fiscal transfers, different grants, and then you always have here and there a little of the controversies. Because at the end, budget is about a distribution of resources, so someone will gain from it, someone will not gain from the budget. So on that perspective, it looks similar, for me, it looks similar, because I would say that if you take away the years, then you put all the different years of budget together, you really can't differentiate which budget belongs to which government. So that's my first impression. Which is a good thing, right? Which is a good thing, because it shouldn't have too much surprises, because sometimes surprises may not be something being welcome. If you do remember what happened to the UK mini budget in October last year, so there was something new, innovative measures which created huge chaos in the market, and then at the end it has to be terminated. But at the same time, I will think that this budget is a little bit different from the past, not so much from business perspective, but from the tone of the budget itself. It sounds more, number one, it doesn't have the, it sounds more like a needs-based budget, the allocation was done, or it was proposed according to who needs what, rather than based on races, for example, based on geographical reasons, for example, but they are mainly based on different categories, different communities in Malaysia who needs different kind of transfers or assistance. So for many, it is actually welcome changes in the way that we propose budget. That's the overall impression.
I see. That's good. That's good. So okay, now in this budget 2023, I would like to jump straight into it, yeah, doctor, because I see when I read from my standpoint, right, I can see that the tax taxing the rich and then giving the handouts to the poor in a way, you know, if we talked about in a general term. So the next couple of questions, maybe I would like to set the setting on this background and then move on to maybe a couple of questions pertaining to that. Just now you mentioned about the needs, right? Provide for the needs. Yeah, so I think the first question that I would like to actually ask is that in the needs that was actually being provided, right, is actually this thing called Payung Rama Initiative, right? So this Payung Rama Initiative, when I actually read further, I realized that Payung Rama Initiative, it is like having a product of maybe a more promoted prices or is under certain promotion. So do you see any differences between this Payung Rama Initiative versus the past First Malaysia products or First Malaysia Kedai Runcit Initiative during the Najib administration? What's your view on its effectiveness in helping the rakyat?
Okay, now before I jump to that question, I probably would, I have a different take on the tone of the budget related to taxing the rich and handouts to the poor, that kind of theme. I have questions on that because even though, for two simple reasons. Number one, even though we heard about the increase of tax rate for those with income 100,000 and above to $1 million, with the tax increase from 0.5 to 2%, and whereas you have a tax cut by 2% for those to 35,000 to 100,000. Now, as what you have shown just now, do not forget that when we calculate our tax income burden, it is progressively by income brackets, you know, which means that even if you are 100,000, 150,000 annual income, you are actually entitled to that 2% tax cut as well before you were entitled to that 1% tax increase for that higher incomes, the highest incomes bracket. You know, and because of that, when it comes to your net income, net tax burden because of these new tax schemes, let's say for 230,000 and above for annual income, your net increase probably is just another 200 and 300. That's before you take into account all those tax exemptions. So at the end, you pay nothing extra actually. You know, even though on paper the number seems like you're supposed to pay, but you didn't. Even though for those with annual income more than 200,000. So in that sense, I don't think rhetorically yes, but effectively, I do not think it is taxing the rich and yeah, so that's first reason. And for example, do not forget also for second reason, we do have like what you have shown just now. There are many exemptions even for the rich as well. Let's say you have, any properties that you want to hand over to your children. And then you have the first, you have the first 1 million completely fully as tax exemption. And of course, only the rich will have assets to be inherited to the children and not to the grandchildren. So in that sense, it's not in the headlines, but it is something that will only be benefited by the rich. You know? So I will urge every one of us to have a different view on all these allocations. So that's my take. Now let me jump to the questions that you mentioned. Now apparently one of the main major differences is, if you do remember that under the 1NDB initiative, that initiative was actually being monopolized or being executed by a major company, the by Mydin operating all those One Malaysia shops. Whereas I do not think so far, at least under this Panorama, all these Hidangan Rama, they are operated by a single a GLC or any single company that applies everything. So it is mostly by individual initiatives. It's mostly it's more dispersed. It's more democratic way of running the stuff. Meaning you have more participations from whoever want to be getting themselves involved in this project. So from that sense, it is a little bit different, right? Even though you can ask me whether it is a good way to really help the poor, whether it is effective or not to help the poor, of course, I would say it is not, right? Even though it is helpful, even though it shows our kasih sayang terhadap the society, but it doesn't really hit the bottom of the problems. At the end, if you really, but of course you can argue therefore that this budget does have another initiative that really go to the bottom of the problems, which is the initiative Pendapatan Negara that trying to overcome the absolute poverty with the initiatives to be announced. So of course that's another issue, but I would say it is not harmful to do that. At least you don't see any direct intervention of the government in the business, saying that you and you must do the stuff for the society, or appointing any particular company, getting involved in the business, giving that kind of monopoly status on all this stuff. So as long as it is not being implemented in that way, then I will think that it is not harmful.